Wednesday was mostly higher in the grain sector. Rich Nelson with Allendale joining us. And wheat, the price leader, Rich. And was that all corrective buying, or was there some talk of some export news helping to drive the market?
I do think the trade is still monitoring this week's story from Russia. The question with a government working group suggesting they may consider some type of export ban if their stock levels get tight enough. And we're not quite sure about an actual ban, but maybe some restriction, maybe starting out January, February. That might be a story to look at. Also, on top of that, Russian wheat prices have been accelerating in recent days, so maybe there's a small change in this very bearish narrative here.
Is there any validity to this talk that maybe China might be back in for more US wheat?
There is, and we've heard these rumors off and on for the past several months, and we've had a few weeks where China has been active buyers. I'm not quite sure if this is going to be a discussion for this week's trade, but certainly for the short term, I think this is still a background supportive influence, at least in the very short term here.
And corn managed to end a little higher, except for the December contract. But, we'll call that, I guess, a moral victory here. And do you think we're going to start to see some of this liquidation subside once we get past first notice day?
I do think in the short term, at least for this week's discussion, keep in mind we're hitting new lows at least these almost for the past, in fact, for the past 3 days in a row. Maybe we can stabilize after we get through this first notice day discussion. We still haven't fixed the long-term supply problem, and certainly for the Brazilian story, the weather issue on corn is not yet enough to really change the U.S. story. So I can't quite say the long-term pressure is quite over here just yet here.
Okay. And what about soybeans? Ended off the highs there. Were we just into some resistance areas on the charts, or is the market looking ahead at the Brazil forecast now?
I think that's still a very active discussion. One thing we do have to recognize is of our three main center west states that we're kind of watching, one of those three, Mato Grosso do Sul, is now off the table regarding an area of concern. So we really only have two of those three states left. And in addition, the discussion for this forecast the next 2 or 3 weeks is not of massive drought, but moderate dryness. So we do have a little less in concern about drastic production cuts here.
Thanks so much, Rich Nelson with Allendale, and we'll have more AgDay coming up.